My wife divorced me for someone rich and returned when they went bankrupt. I married my ex-wife right after we graduated from high school. College was never an option for me, so I quickly got a job in construction and mowing lawns to make a living. My body was often exhausted, and there were times when I got injured and couldn't work. My wife worked as a cashier at a local supermarket in our town. Although I didn't earn much, I did my best to give her the best life possible. I may not have been a doctor, lawyer, or rich, but I always tried to take her to nice places. For a while, everything was fine, until my ex-wife developed expensive tastes and started spending our savings on materialistic things, items far out of our budget that would cost us months of our salaries. We had serious arguments about this, and I always wondered what had changed. I had always known her as a simple person, until she started talking about her boss, who owned the supermarket where she worked. She constantly mentioned how he had a new and luxurious Mercedes, the one she had always wanted, and how he even took her for a ride in it. At first, I didn't think much of it, until I started to suspect that she was cheating on me. I lied and told her I was going to visit my cousins in another state for a few days. I ended up renting a motel for the next 2 days and came back home in the middle of the night, only to see an unfamiliar car parked in our driveway. I quietly walked inside, and my heart sank as soon as I saw clothes on the floor and wine bottles open on our kitchen counter. I continued walking toward our bedroom and saw the door half open, revealing them lying naked together as they slept. I quickly left and ran back to my car, where I broke down and cried for hours before driving to my parents' house. The next day, I returned and confronted her. I told her I knew she had cheated on me and that I wanted a divorce. She looked at me silently and sighed with relief. She said she had been waiting for this day, that I couldn't give her the lifestyle she had always dreamed of, and that she needed to be with someone who could give her everything she wanted. Her boss was that person? I was devastated and heartbroken, but I kept my composure and told her she had to be out of the house by the next morning and that I would send her the divorce papers. I moved back home with my parents, where I fell into a depression for the next 3 to 5 months. During that time, my ex-wife posted online about going on trips and living the life she had always wanted with her boss. I decided to channel my anger and frustration into working harder at my job. The next few years were brutal. My body felt like it was giving up, but my expenses decreased, and I managed to save almost all my money. Eventually, I became a project manager and started talking to different clients. I was earning more than 6 figures, but I wanted more. I left the company with 2 of my work friends, and together we started our own construction company, using the savings I had accumulated over the last 8 years. Fast forward to recently, I now own several properties and plazas that are rented out. One day, I was checking my email when I saw my ex-wife's name on the client list, along with her boss's last name. I realized she had married him. Curious, I investigated further and discovered that they were my tenants in a small apartment complex I owned in a rougher part of the city. I usually have a property manager handle things, but sometimes I check my properties personally to make sure everything is in order. I decided to visit that complex, especially since many of my tenants had complained about the washers and dryers. I went there with a maintenance crew and started pointing out what needed to be repaired or replaced. That's when I saw my ex-wife carrying a laundry basket. She walked in and asked if the washer and dryer were ready to use. She saw me, recognized me, and called my name. She asked what I was doing there, assuming I was part of the maintenance team. One of my workers laughed and said, "He's our boss." As I continued working, she looked at me and tried to make conversation. She asked how I got rich, and I replied that I just got lucky. I told her I owned a construction company and several properties, including the complex she lived in. She looked disappointed and told me that since we broke up, her life had been in a downward spiral. I asked if she was married, and she lied, saying no. I asked what happened to the man she left me for, and she told me his supermarket went bankrupt after he developed a gambling addiction. Then she asked if I was single and suggested we go out to dinner together. I laughed, but she said she was serious and that I could finally give her the things she always wanted. She claimed she was giving me a chance to redeem myself for the past, and I burst out laughing. I told her I was happily married and showed her my ring. I also told her to go to hell and called her a gold digger. My workers started laughing, and some of them began talking among themselves about what they had just heard. It felt good to finally call her out as a gold digger after all this time, not to mention that her life was ruined because of her greed. Thank you very much for watching.